Hey guys, Jesse here, and today's video is going to be a little different. I don't usually do videos like this, obviously, because this is the first one I've posted of this kind. But yesterday was Xbox's summer showcase, and it was very impressive. So much so that I wanted to make a video just talking about everything that was shown. So yeah, it was just really good, and I have a list here of all the games that were announced. I just kind of want to talk about each one. I'm admittedly a bit of an Xbox fanboy, so I was a bit biased going into this thing, but that's not to say I haven't been disappointed by Xbox in the past few years, to be honest. I wouldn't say everything they've put out or released or done has been a letdown, but we haven't had anything really huge that made us go, man, I need to have an Xbox sort of thing. Um, but I always like following Xbox and what they do. If you know me and you've watched some of my content, you know that I grew up a Sega guy and I'm still a big fan of Sega. And I don't know, maybe I like rooting for the losing team or whatever. But I don't know. It's always interesting. It was always interesting following Sega and seeing what they did, and I think it's more interesting following Xbox and seeing what they did. Um, Simply because I'm just muting my phone here. Sorry. Simply because it's like, I don't know, you could ride the pristine, unsinkable yacht of PlayStation or Nintendo, and it'll be a super smooth ride and nothing will ever go wrong. Or you can ride the somewhat cheaper cruise of Xbox that was kind of rickety, and maybe you might get to your destination, but you never know. You will get there, but maybe along the way it springs a leak a little bit, pirates invade, or some bullshit happens. So, needless to say, it's at least interesting. That being said, um, the ship feeling like it's sinking is probably not as interesting as I wanted it to get with things like Redfall and just how Halo Infinite turned out in the very end. Don't get me wrong, I do still really like Halo Infinite, but it just kind of finished a little too late and everything else. And there's a whole slew of things, delays, and just yeah, the games are coming, they just never come, and then when they do come, it's like not great. But still, love Xbox. I've always been an Xbox guy. So let's basically just get into it. I'm just going to go game by game in order and just talk about what I saw because, like I said, this was a very good showcase. Very impressive. They can deliver on them at least, let's say, at least 80% or 70% on these things. I think Xbox will be in a great state in the next few years. So it opened with Fable. Fable being one of my favorite franchises, Xbox specifically as well. I think aside from Halo 3, Fable 2 was a game that I put the most amount of hours on my Xbox 360. I just absolutely adore Fable. I didn't get to play 3, just kind of skipped it. But with the announcement of this new one, I was very excited. And now we finally got to see a teaser trailer of it with some in engine rendered stuff. So no pre rendered or no CGI stuff. Not sure if some of it was gameplay or not. There was like some parts where the hero kind of shot a fireball and it kind of looked like gameplay, but I don't think they touted it as a gameplay trailer. That'll probably come later, obviously. But it opened with some very impressive facial animations featuring, I'm going to butcher his name, Richard Ayoade. He's a British comedian on the IT Crowd. I've never watched the IT Crowd, but his like little snippet thing in this trailer was very entertaining. And I'm very hopeful for this game now after seeing it. It's made by Playground Games, who have historically made the Forza Horizon series. So people are kind of skeptical of how they're going to handle a completely different genre. I don't think it's too different though, just because Forza Horizon is an open world game and Fable is a somewhat open world game. I'm going to assume this new one is going to be completely open world, but if Playground Games knows how to do anything, it's how to make an interesting open world with things that are interesting to do and locations that are memorable. I personally am a person who really doesn't like open world games. I find them to be very repetitive and kind of bloated and such. But playing Forza Horizon was more like a almost action adventure open world game rather than a driving game. There were times where I forgot it was even a racing game just because you're trying to hit ramps and destroy little targets and you're just trying to. I mean, they know how to make a fun open world game based on the thing you're controlling. So now to be able to control a character that can like jump and move around and have more mobility, I'm very excited to see what they do. So I really don't have any worries there. What I do worry about is how they handled the sort of atmosphere of Fable, because Fable has always been known to be I mean, it's a very British game. I mean, Peter Molyneux, my god, like, he was the guy behind it all. It's a very British game, has very British comedy and, a very British setting, etcetera, etcetera. It's British, okay? And what I got from this trailer was that seems to be very much intact. It had that sort of comedy, it had that sort of style. It seemed to still be a satire on, or a parody, excuse me, on high fantasy tropes and stuff like that. What I wasn't too super keen on was the move towards realism. Fable has always been very cartoony and very stylized. I hope they have uglier characters in this game, to be frank, because the older Fables really captured the whole trope of medieval peasants and knights and noblemen and stuff, and they're very exaggerated. This is going for realism. It looks incredible, but I do feel some of that Fable, style is a little bit lost, but I'm very hopeful. I liked what I saw. I liked the sort of tone, and, yeah, looking really forward to Fable. I wish we got some sort of release window at least, because if I recall, they didn't even give a year. Gonna assume 2024, but they didn't even give a year, so yeah, I that was my one issue with this whole showcase. I wanted more release windows and release dates, but we didn't get too many. Moving on to South of Midnight. This is from Compulsion Games. At first, I thought this was a rare title because I kind of looked away and missed the little kind of studio announcement who's making it. But this game looks incredible in visual wise. This was another in rendered trailer, so in-game footage. It has this very like cell shaded stop motion style, which is very hot right now with Spider-Man and like that new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie coming out. It's got that stop motion kind of keyframed look, and it looks incredible. I mean, the art just looks outstanding. The music was also great, and the tone of it was all great, and the style. It's like it's got the theme of like the bayou, like southern Louisiana swamp and that sort of atmosphere, and I really enjoy that stuff. That's like my most that's like something of American culture I really like. Even in stuff like Assassin's Creed Liberation, which game was terrible, but I really did enjoy the setting of the whole bayou and Louisiana and everything. So to see this take that theme and take place in that sort of setting looks awesome. Um, I'm a little worried though, because this is by Compulsion Games, who made We Happy Few. And let's be honest, We Happy Few kind of sucked ass. Had really good concepts, but the game itself was pretty bad. So there wasn't much to this trailer aside from just showing what the game kind of looked like and the style they're going for. And there wasn't any gameplay, but I just sincerely hope that Microsoft gives this the sort of attention and love it needs to make it a really good game, because I mean, it won a bunch of people, including myself, just based off of the style and the concept alone, whatever that is. It's to me, I think it's going to be a sort of action puzzler. I can't imagine it's going to be that action focused, just based on We Happy Few, but we'll see. I just hope that it gets the love and attention it needs to be a good game. Next up was Ubisoft's open world Star Wars game, Star Wars Outlaws. I'm gonna be real here. I don't really care about Star Wars. I'm neither here nor there about it. I used to be all here for it until Disney, you know. But, but we are kind of in the golden age of Star Wars games right now. Let's be real. They're all pretty much killer right now, and I'm very skeptical about this one. First off, Microsoft did break their promise that there would be no CG trailers in this showcase, and this was a CG trailer entirely. Now, to be fair, maybe they meant that for their own studio games, and this game's gameplay is being shown today through Ubisoft's direct or whatever, so whatever. But the concept of this game looks really cool. You're not playing a Jedi, you're not doing any of that crap, you're just some outlaw, smuggler maybe. I don't know. There wasn't too much gleaned off of this trailer other than you're not the hero, basically, which is cool with me. My favorite Star Wars game the past like few years was actually Squadrons. I don't really care for Jedi and the magic stuff because I think that's all like not really well thought out, to be honest. But all the future tech and the rebels and all that crap. That I like all that stuff. So seeing this really did interest me, at least, but it's a Ubisoft open world game, and they make the absolute worst open world games. I used to be a really big Ubisoft fan back when, like, Assassin's Creed, let's say 4. That's about the time I fell off. They were putting out really good games, but then yeah, they just fell off and just I don't know what happened. They just lost creativity. Maybe they lost some key people, but they just started doing like copy paste. We all know they do like copy paste open world objectives and map styles and design, and it just gets so tiresome and bloated. And they're the absolute example of why I hate open world games. But recently they haven't really been putting out very much at all, and and from based off of the latest Assassin's Creed trailer, I'm hoping that they use that time to take a step back and look back as to why they were once the biggest third party developer in the industry. Uh, and I just hope they get back to their roots, and this actually gets some more thought put into it than just a copy paste open world job. On top of that, this is from a already established lore and universe, which I feel like they do a lot better with rather than working on their own. Because Assassin's Creed, we all know, is kind of, some people love it, some I don't know. Personally, I think it's a bit of a mess. But in any case, let's, for example, or we'll go to Far Cry. Far Cry has just sort of lost its way so much with how they handle story and what they're even trying to do with that franchise. So hopefully, with the established lore of Star Wars and so much to glean off and so much to pull from, they'll be able to make far more interesting stories and objectives and things to do in the game. So the CG trailer was very pretty, but I don't know, I was just kind of meh about it. Next up was a bit of a, I think it was an indie game. It looked like an indie game, and I just want to mention that I'm really glad that Xbox mixes in their indies with their big showcase games. Like, they're not regulated to the kids table like State of Play or Indie Direct from Nintendo, where it's like, okay, here are big games in the Direct or in the PlayStation Showcase, and you indies get your own little show. But it kind of gives people the mentality to just skip that. So I like that Xbox doesn't do that. They put the indies with the big boys, so you're kind of forced to see it. But that's a good thing, because you might see something that you like. Personally, 33 Immortals was something that I wasn't too interested in, but the concept is really cool. It's a 33 player co-op game, which, what the fuck? Like, what are you even gonna do? It looks like a mix of like Hades and Diablo is kind of what I got the the vibe from, and I love both of those games, but something about this game just didn't work for me. It's from gosh, I think it's from the people who made Jotun or Jotun. I could be wrong about that, so don't quote me on that, but it looks good. I don't know. It looks interesting, at least. It looks like one of those indies games that's really well polished and really tight mechanically, but style wise and art wise, it didn't really do it for me. It just looked a little bit like a Flash game, but I don't know. Some people might have different opinions. Just the concept alone of 33 player co-op is just sinking ship. Remember, rough ship. Interesting. Next up, they showed off Payday 3 gameplay, which kind of didn't do anything for me. I wasn't a huge Payday guy. I did play Payday 2. My fondest memory was starting up Payday 2. Then my buddy in college was like, hey, I play with the group, let's just play with them. And they were like, all right, we'll just boost you all the way up in like one game. So I didn't really get to progress in the game. So I don't have very fond memories of Payday 2. It looks good. It looks interesting. There's like ninja cops now. So I think it's kind of getting away from realism. And there was like, I don't know, it kind of reminded me of Metal Gear Solid, Metal Gear Solid enemy. It was like a weird like spandex ninja or latex ninja, but whatever. If it's on Game Pass, I'm sure you can grab a couple of friends and check it out. It is really, if for those of you who don't know what Payday is, think Left 4 Dead, but you're robbing banks. That's it. But I know a lot of people are really into Payday, and Payday 2 has kind of run its course for a while now. So to get not only Payday 3 gameplay but for it to look like what people want out of Payday is really good. So yeah, not something crazy for me, but I know a lot of people are looking forward to it. Next up was a huge one, but it was leaked unfortunately a few days ago, was the Persona 3 remake, Persona 3 Reload. It's unfortunate this was leaked, because this would have like been the highlight of the show, but because it was leaked. It still kind of was, right? Like I got to see it again. I've watched this thing like maybe 5 times. Persona 3 is my favorite Persona game. I've played it a few times now. Played it again recently with the P3P port. And to see this being remade is super exciting. God, I want this so bad. I want to play this now. Um, I know they're gonna make it more Persona 5 like in terms of difficulty and quality of life, but whatever. The best parts of Persona 3 were the characters and the story. That's my cat. Yeah, I'm a little gatekeepy when it comes to Persona 3. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of tell people like you kind of have to experience the original game. Also, I find it a little weird that people are like, I've been waiting to play Persona 3 forever. Now I finally can. It's like I don't think Persona 3 was ever that hard to get access to, especially with the port of Persona 3 Portable. But then you get the portable version. It's like, should you play Fest or Festival and that's a whole other argument. It doesn't matter. The point is, it's being remade and it looks amazing. And I'm more excited for the music than anything else. The only caveat to this announcement, and this is something that came after the announcement, is that Atlas confirmed that the game would only include content to the original release of Persona 3, meaning no female protagonist from Portable and possibly no extra scenario from Festival, which is called The Answer. For those of you who don't know, Persona 3 released as Persona 3, then they released an updated version called Persona 3 Festival, which had some like quality of life improvements, but also an epilogue called The Answer, which is the true ending to the story. And yeah, and if this remake doesn't include The Answer, I have to imagine they might change the ending, which I really don't want them to do, because Persona 3, for those of you who play it, you'll know, but for those of you who haven't, let's just say it's not a game that really warrants a happy ending. And The Answer's ending was just tonally perfect for this game. And I hope that if it's not going to include The Answer verbatim, that they at least somehow incorporate it into the ending. And yeah, it's just like, I don't know what's going to come of it. I hope they don't change too much of it, but we will see. That's all I gotta say. I got more to say about Persona 3. I could do a whole video on Persona 3, but I'll leave it at that. Okay, next up was a bit of a controversial one. It was the Avowed gameplay trailer. Now, when this first started, I thought it was Assassin's Creed Mirage or whatever the new one is called, because that's really what it looked like. That's what everyone thought, but this is Avowed. This is from Obsidian, who make some of my favorite Western RPGs, which is like Fallout New Vegas, Outer Worlds. They made the Pillars of Eternity games. They're really, really good. They are a double A studio. I think that's what people kind of forget. But this game was announced, I think, roughly 3 years ago. It was teased shortly after the Series X was released, and this was like Xbox's first showcase, and they showed the title, and they showed a little bit of like a guy casting a spell. Now, in that trailer, it was underground. It was very dark. The guy like drew a spell and casted it, and everyone got big Ultima vibes from it, me included. And yeah, this trailer was not that at all. It's very colorful. It's very high fantasy. It's very bright. It's more cartoony. I wouldn't say completely cartoony, but it's got a stylized look, and it is just not what people thought as compared to that original trailer. Now, I don't think it looks bad game-wise. The graphics could use some work. Let's be real. It's not a high-fidelity game, but that is not what Obsidian's known for. Obsidian's known for great characters, great writing, a great story, and just really good gameplay mechanics. And what I see from this game, from that trailer, I see basically a medieval or high fantasy Outer Worlds. And that's something I'm really looking forward to, because I like a more, if you're going to have really good writing, good characters, I'd like games that don't overstay their welcome. Outer Worlds, I think, was one of my favorite space RPGs in the past like 10 years or so, because just it was so well paced and so well put together and just really smartly designed. It was just small. I think people couldn't get the fact that it wasn't a huge open world. You had hub worlds, and the towns were relatively small, but it made for more memorable places and locations. So if Avowed is like that, I'm all for it. If they're trying to make a Skyrim clone, I'm less all for it, but we don't really know because the gameplay trailer, frankly, wasn't great. It looked a little stiff. They tried to make it really action oriented, and that's not what Obsidian does best. Let's be real. Also, something that I kind of got from the vibe of the trailer was that it felt kind of old. It felt the trailer and even the font and just the presentation felt like a mid 2000s or early 2010s Western RPG, which I'm all for, to be honest. Like those like kind of more obscure computer Western RPGs. Like Oblivion and stuff like that, or oh, that's not really obscure, but you know what I mean. And even my wife, while she was watching it, was like, "This looks old," and yeah, it does, but it has that charm. I came away from the trailer thinking to myself, I want to explore this world. They were just like, there's a part where the guy kind of opens up to a temple, and it looks. I saw that and I was like, I want to go there. I want to see that. But I fully admit that the trailer was not the best. I don't think it showed off what Avow's probably best features are. And if those were its best features, that's no good. But I'm very optimistic about it because the track record of Obsidian is really, really good, especially for people who like more role playing in their role playing game. If you're looking for like action and just that kind of combat, then Obsidian doesn't do the best. But if you for immersion and story, they do a really good job. Now, I, I I'm afraid of using that phrase due to their track record because we said that about Arcane and look what happened in Redfall. But I'd say Obsidian has far more games under their belt, and they're just one studio, right? It's just a one studio of certain people, where Arcane is actually two. But in any case, I'm hopeful for Avowed. I know a lot of people were disappointed, but a lot of people are also still hopeful, and there's mixed people. That was a whole mixed bag, like for sure. But I think it looked. I liked it. I liked what I saw. Next up, they showed a Sea of Thieves, a Monkey Island collab, which that was charming to me. I don't know. I wish I had friends that played Sea of Thieves more. They were more committed to playing Sea of Thieves because I always tried to get them into it, but they just wouldn't. And you can't really play that game alone. And I don't really want to play with strangers, to be honest, even if I meet them through Reddit or something like that. But this collab with Monkey Island, I think, is really fitting. Sea of Thieves is kind of turning into like the Smash Bros. Of the pirate multiverse. So there was Pirates of the Caribbean, now there's Monkey Island. Dude, who knows what else we're gonna get? Well, whatever the case, it looked really cool. I think they sort of implied it can be played single player because it was talking about how like once you're instanced into the Monkey Island stuff, you're out of the Sea of Thieves, so you can't get like raided or anything weird like that. So I don't know. Maybe I'll check it out. We'll see. Microsoft Flight Simulator was next. They just called it Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. I don't know if it's an update or a whole new game. I'm gonna assume it's an update because I don't know. They're sort of building that as sort of a platform, but it looked really good. I mean, of course, the graphics were just insane, right? Because I don't know, it was Sobo Studios. They're the ones that made the engine and developed this game. I don't know what kind of wizardry they got in that engine, but it's just insane. The big thing from it, though, and what might convince me to get like a quantum computer to run this fucking game, is there's a Dune expansion. And I just made a Dune collection video, so y'all know how much I love Dune. And god damn it, man, it looks so cool. I want to fly that ornithopter. Yeah, it's just gonna be flying over nothing. It's just gonna be flying over like miles and miles of sand, but it's gonna look really good. And yeah, the ornithopter in the trailer just looked incredible. It was insane. So that was a cool surprise, but I don't know. I want to play it, but I don't know if I really have any way of doing it. I have an Xbox Series X, but playing that game at like 30 FPS on there, and it's kind of jittery and doesn't look as good. I don't know. It's not the best, but it is a way to play it. Next up was a game I was really excited for when I saw the title card. It was Hellblade 2. I love Hellblade 1. It's just one of the most unique experiences I've ever played. I was pretty disappointed about what they showed here. It's been in development for a long time. They showed a teaser a while ago, and it looked really good. The teaser they showed, the little gameplay of fighting that giant was just like, and I don't know. At first I doubt it's gonna look like that, but I also doubted that the first one would look the way it looks, and it looked exactly how they showed it. So now I don't doubt that that Hellblade 2 is going to look as good as they're showing it. The problem is with the demo they showed yesterday was Senua took like 2 steps and then looked in a pool of water and talked to herself. I want a little more gameplay. I know what kind of game Hellblade is. I played the first one, but damn man, like show us maybe bigger, a little bigger environments. Maybe her solving a light puzzle or even some combat. I know that's not the real draw of Hellblade, but to show what they showed was like, what the? It's been in development for so long. At least give us like a little more. I don't. Maybe have her take 3 steps instead of 2. I don't know. It was more of a sound demo than anything else, which was kind of strange. I have a surround sound system. I watched a direct in sound surround sound. Whether or not that footage was actually surround sound, I don't know, but it sounded like it, and it sounded amazing with the voices and the rocks moving in the water. It just the sound design in that game is going to be insane. But I want to see more of the game. So yeah, all I gotta say is like next time I see Hellblade 2, it better be more than that. Still very excited for it, and obviously I've been confirmed that the sound is gonna be good. But yeah. So next one is like a heavy hitter for me. It's like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, which is Yakuza 8. I'm gonna call it Yakuza 8. I don't care what they keep changing it to, okay? Yakuza Like a Dragon is Yakuza 7. This is Yakuza 8. Like a Dragon Ishin is Yakuza Ishin. I don't care what I know it's called Like a Dragon in Japan, but they picked the name here. They called it Yakuza. Just stick to it. All right, that's my little rant. Whatever. This is Yakuza 8, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. And I'm insanely excited about this. I've played all the Yakuza games, all of them, including I didn't complete them, but I tried playing the PSP Japan only ones with some translation patches. But I am very excited for this. It had naked Ichiban on the beach, an American beach, and that already got me just all kinds of hot and bothered. It looks it looks cool. It looks funny. I play every Yakuza game. I don't care if it's good or bad. I like them all, including 4 and 5. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. I'm just glad it was on the showcase. I know it's a multi-plat game, but man, uh, yeah, this showcase. I mean, you can tell up to this point, like everything they've shown has either been very impressive or at least interesting. And this was a big one for me. I love Yakuza 8. I know it was announced before, but actually getting to see what kind of setting it's going to take place in was great. Uh, really, just to know it's not taking place in fucking Kabuki-cho or whatever the fuck in Yokohama, and just it looks like a new location. That's the exciting part. Fallout 76 has some update. Don't care. Frankly, I'm more surprised people still play that game. It's probably good, but it's not for me. Capcom revealed some new game. I think it has a real title, but the only thing they put in English on there was Path of the Goddess, but I've seen it also as the Japanese title with Path of the Goddess as a subtitle, so I don't know. All I know is that trailer really hurt my fucking eyes, and so thanks for that, Capcom. I mean, it looks very interesting. Yokai are very popular right now, and that's like a yokai-focused game, but I don't know. I need to see more of it. They claimed as a gameplay trailer. I didn't really see any gameplay. I think one character slashed a sword that was in real time, and they were like, gameplay. 0.2 seconds of guys slashing sword. It must be gameplay. Mark it. It looks cool, and it's a new Capcom game, so exciting because Capcom is at the top of their game right now. But yeah, I couldn't look at that fucking trailer for more than like 5 seconds. Forza Motorsport got a release date October 10th, so I think this was the first date we got for a release date on this whole showcase, and yeah, kind of wish there were more, but we got it with Forza. We knew it was coming this year. I thought November, so it's coming a little sooner. They basically announced that the mascot car is the Corvette E-Ray or whatever, and the Cadillac car that won Le Mans, or I don't know if it won Le Mans. I don't remember, but very pretty car. I'm a big car guy. I know it doesn't sound like it right now because I think I've seen so much Forza that like at this point, and I think they know as well because they don't really show much in this trailer. It was basically just a way to announce the release date. And even the footage looked a little weird. It almost looked like Series S gameplay or something weird like that. But whatever the case, I think they knew that they have shown too much Forza and people just want to know the release date. So they just announced the release date essentially. But I'm very excited for that game. It I love Forza. I do prefer it over Gran Turismo. I think Gran Turismo has better driving mechanics, but the game itself is more fun to play on Forza. There's just more to do. There's more cars. There's more interactivity with the community, and just yeah. Uh, Gran Turismo 7 was to hold me over till this, so very excited. Next two things are things I don't care about whatsoever. Is Elder Scrolls Online has a new expansion that I think was already announced, but now they show some gameplay. I played Elder Scrolls Online for a long while. I think like past the Morrowind expansion, and it is a very very good MMO. It's just goddamn, there's so much of it. It's I don't know if it's bloated since I don't really play it. Maybe the player base doesn't think so, but man, there's a lot of Elder Scrolls Online, and just like Digital Foundry predicted, it was here. It's at every single Xbox event, and yeah, we're all kind of tired of seeing it, but they just keep making content for it, and people like it. So there it is. And then Overwatch 2. It's kind of funny. The list I'm looking at is from a website, and the only bullet point I have for this is Overwatch 2 still exists. I thought all that stuff was canceled, but they showed like story missions, but it's probably just the leftovers of what they finished, which man, if it wasn't for Diablo 4, man, I would be ripping on Blizzard a lot harder, but Diablo 4 is really, really fucking good. But Overwatch 2 is just poopy. So that's what I think of that. Next up was the other Persona trailer that was leaked as Persona 5 Tactica. Yeah, Persona 5 just will never end. This is the game that never ends. It just goes on and on, my friend. I love Persona 5, but god damn it, I'm so tired of it. This looks like an XCOM style Persona game. It's a spin-off, obviously, and probably tells a pretty interesting story involving the Phantom Thieves, but I'm just, dude, come on. We're we're milking. I mean, we've been milking it, but we're really milking it now. Um, fuck, my page just reloaded. Anyways, yeah, it's I don't know, man. It looks okay. It looks fun. It looks silly. I'm just yeah, I'm kind of tired of Persona 5. I want Persona 6. We're not getting that. We're gonna get this and the Persona 3 remake and maybe Persona 6 somewhere later down the line. And yeah, I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's on Game Pass. Next up was a pretty weird game called I don't know how to pronounce it. It's Just Ant or Jusant or Juicent. I don't know, but it's a new game from Don't Nod. And what I thought immediately was that it was Breath of the Wild, but only the climbing. So it looks like a puzzler game where climbing is the puzzle. Strangely enough, it actually reminded me of The Climb, which is a VR game in which, well, you climb in VR and you sort of have to time out when you chalk up your hands, when you let go of things, your stamina meter, when you put in like stakes into the rock face to grab and climb and where you put them. That's what it kind of reminded me of because I saw a little bit of that in the trailer and in the gameplay. It's very stylized. It looks like Slime Rancher to me in terms of the graphics. It looks cool. There's a little butt monster in it. The guy has like this little creature that's like the size of like a mole rat, but it looks like it's basically two cheeks with eyes. It's a butthead monster. So I like that. So I don't know. Maybe I'll check it out. I don't like. I mean, I do like don't nod games. So yeah, it's just it looked good. It was a good indie looking game. It caught my interest. Another indie game that followed up was the Chinese Room, which that's the developer. I didn't even know the Chinese Room still existed. I thought they were done and gone. They haven't made anything in a long time, and they make walking simulators for the most part. But this looks to have a little more to it. It's called Still Wakes the Deep, which the logo is terrible. It's don't open. Well, it's the don't open dead inside, don't dead open inside. Like it was just bad. So Still Wakes the Deep is what it's called. It's a horror game that looks to be set on an oil rig. Looks very pretty. And yeah, that's a cool setting. So I will probably be checking that out, although I'm not a huge fan of the walking simulator kind of horror games, but the setting is very cool. Next up was another indie game, Dungeons of Hinterberg. Um, it kind of reminded me again of Legend of Zelda, a little bit Breath of the Wild. They're definitely like trying to invoke that sort of mystical, cell shaded looking environment. This didn't really do much for me. It looks to be, I'm gonna be honest, one of those like really artsy indie games that don't have a lot of gameplay to it. Just like, oh, look at this pretty world and it's very atmospheric and immersive, but you don't do much with it. It's probably going to be fine. I don't know. But, and those games are usually like fun to just run through once and talk about for like maybe a month and then you forget about them. I'm being pretty harsh here, but I don't see anything huge that stood out about that trailer and the gameplay and everything. You do get to grind rails on like a minecart skateboard thing, which again, kind of taken from the recent Zelda. So that's kind of cool. But I don't know. It could have more to it. It does have dungeons in the name, so uh, yeah, could be a little more exciting. Next up, we got to see good old Big Chungus Keanu Reeves on stage, being himself and having being a goofball on stage and announcing the Cyberpunk expansion. I never played Cyberpunk, do not care for Cyberpunk, but this DLC does look pretty sick. I'm not gonna lie. The graphics and just the whole vibe of the whole thing looked pretty fucking cool. So it's on sale right now, the base Cyberpunk. So I might actually pick it up and play through it, because I know it's now like fixed and everything. Um, just so I can play this DLC when it drops. But yeah, it was a good announcement simply because they got Keanu Reeves to go on stage and be like, CD Project Red DLC, yeah, it's coming. So it's nice to see Keanu be Keanu. So yeah, good way to announce it, and people like Cyberpunk now. Next up, they showed City Skylines 2. Uh, really looking forward to this game, but I probably won't play it simply because city builders are really dangerous for me. I will spend all day and night playing a city builder. Did that with the original with SimCity 2000 and did that with City Skylines 1. This game for a city builder looks incredible. I cannot wait, but I probably won't play it because I really shouldn't. Honestly, this is like bad for me. I do want to check it out though. At least if it's on Game Pass, I will check it out. Next up was honestly one of the highlights for me personally. Metaphor. I gotta look at it because it's a bit of a weird name. Metaphor ReFantasio. Now this game was originally called ReFantasy, I believe, a long time ago. I mean, like 2014, I think was when it was announced or teased or whatever. But now it's just out of nowhere coming out. It's by the guy who made, or from the makers, or the guy who made Persona 3, 4, and 5. The basically the creative mind behind that, and that's what it looks like. It looks like a alternate medieval reality that's structured like Persona, with the stylization, the social links, the hub world, and kind of here's life, the sort of live your life gameplay, and then the combat, and it looks turn based, and it looks amazing. This was such a huge surprise to me, and just as a side note, the Xbox showcase was far more Japanese than the Sony one, which was pretty weird, but it was just great. It looked amazing. I can't wait for it. I'm definitely going to check it out. I think it's on Game Pass. It does not say it's on Game Pass, but I will buy that game. It looks so good. It looks super cool. The style of it looks great. And while I didn't follow the first time it was announced, I'm definitely following it now. And then next up are the last two. We will talk about Starfield. That is a completely different subject altogether. So I was saving that for the end. They did smartly show Starfield kind of in the middle of the showcase, rather than just the end or the beginning, so that like you didn't feel like the showcase was ending or beginning, if that made sense. But yeah, I'll talk more about it at the end. But the last two things they showed this game called Towerborn, which I'll be honest looked pretty bad. Sorry to say, it looked like a 4X game, but it looked like a 4X mobile game. It just did not look very good. And there wasn't much to the trailer at all. I'm not saying it is a bad game. It's just the first impressions was like, it didn't look great. I'm not. I like 4X games, but this didn't look like a very deep one. And yeah, it just looked very simple. Not because it had cartoon graphics, but just because there wasn't a lot going on, just in the trailer. Period. So there's that. And then another big surprise from In Exile Games, who made Wasteland 3, is a game called Clockwork Revolution. Terrible game name. Just you might as well have called it steampunk video game. But that's basically what it is. I thought it was a BioShock Infinite remake. Just I think most people did. But what they showed was very interesting. It's like a mix of first person shooter steampunk era stuff with time travel mechanics, which can always be really fun if done in an interesting way and not just like, oh, you can sort of interact with that piece of environment, but if you can use it in combat, which they did show some of that, it could be a lot of fun. Um, I love steampunk, the steampunk aesthetic. In fact, the next book I'd like to start writing is a steampunk focused adventure. So to have another steampunk game that's got a bit more money behind it, uh, honestly, to make it like a more AAA or even high budget AA game is pretty exciting. And what they showed was cool. It looked cool. People agreed it was a cool looking game. It's just too bad the release date was some snarky shit that was like release when it's ready. Just tell me how long you at least been working on it. Like, do I expect it in 1 year, 2 years? I don't. I hate that. I hate when they do that. But whatever the case, it looks cool. I'm excited. It was a good way to end the showcase. This was the last game they showed, and I think ended with a banger. Now, before I talk about Starfield, I'm just gonna uh, go over the showcase altogether. Yeah, this was like a just really good showcase. I give it like a solid A minus B plus. The only reason why I don't rank it higher is because there wasn't enough release dates. I don't like seeing just announcements. I want to know at least windows of release dates. We got two release dates, one for Starfield and one for Forza, but everything else was either 2024 or coming soon or just no release date at all. For me, these sort of shows should have at least something for us to look forward to. Now, obviously, we have Starfield, but that's still a bit of ways away, and so we're left a little dry for a while. But if Starfield can deliver on what it's showing, it'll be worth the wait for sure. But in terms of just pure variety and quality of the games and the creativity of the games they showed, this was incredible. I mean, it was great. It was really really good, and we got information on games that we had been announced that we want information on, Fable and Avowed, um, and just what some of the other studios were working on, like In Exile or even Compulsion Games, what they got them doing. So yeah, this was just really strong. And if, like I said, if Xbox can deliver on at least like let's say 75% of what they showed in this showcase, then I would say they'd be in a really strong position for just making like awesome games. Again, the thing that really impressed me, or the thing I like about Xbox is their variety and their willingness to kind of fuck up. I'm serious. Like, I like their risk taking. I'm fine with them making games that aren't cinematic or over the shoulder sad dad games. Like, I'm fine with that. I want to see weird, different, and risky games. And that's sometimes risk turns into failure. I know it does, but it's worth it just to say like that was more interesting than like the next blah 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 3 or blah 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 4 or whatever. Well, in terms of things I would have liked to have seen in this, Gears would have been cool. I want to know what's going on with Gears 6 and anything for the future of Halo as well. I'm just kind of curious what they're like. What do they have planned? I mean, obviously they're going to keep updating Infinite, but like, is there ever going to be story content? Like, there's just weird stuff going on there. I would like to know more about it. And then personally, Perfect Dark, one of my favorite FPS franchises. Yes, I like Perfect Dark Zero. Game's a guilty pleasure, but I want to know what's going on with the new one. So that's that. Now I'm going to talk about Starfield. This part, I'm not going to try to make too long because this video is already long enough, but holy shit, man. Like, that's everything they showed about Starfield is 100% what I wanted. I cannot wait for this shit, man. I want it on my Xbox now. It looks amazing. Just everything they showed. Just the variety of things you can do, the variety of the plans, the fidelity of the graphics. I'm not a graphics guy. I really am not. That's why I didn't really talk about Avowed's graphics. But holy shit, did this look like just everything, the granularity and the detail and the the variety of the foliage and just the fidelity and the animations were just they're really good. Um, of course, it's a Bethesda game, like, and but it is a new engine, and that both excites me and scares me. I mean, like, it's gonna have bugs. Like, let's be real. And it looks like they're touting like people flying off, blasting off again as some sort of like feature because they showed that a lot in the trailer and in the deep dive. But I'm sure that's gonna happen not on purpose several times in the game. But just all the systems they showed during the direct were just really it was the information that we wanted. It was the information I wanted. Yes, it looks like all their other previous games and their setups, but it just looks so refined and slicker and just more well thought out that the immersion in this game is just off the scale. Um, it just looks like a tighter game overall, just mechanically and graphically, and yeah, I cannot wait. Some of the things they showed specifically, base building looks to be a little more fun. I'm not a big base builder guy, but if the tools are easier to use, then it makes me want to do it more. Fallout 4's base building was fucking awful. It was so bad. I didn't play 76. Maybe it's better there. I don't know. But Starfields looks really easy to use, and the actual design of the bases and the insides and the interiors look very like believable and realistic, and it doesn't just look like you just took something like a block from one thing and a block from another and just mashed them together and made them work by connecting pipe. They look like they fit together. Everything looks like it was already built in the world. Um, so that looks great. The cities that they showed, or the towns and whatever, looked really good. It looked more believable. There seems to be a lot more people as well, so it feels more lived in. I'm sure you're not going to be able to interact with literally everyone, but just having more people doing more things will add to the immersion. Uh, Running around the planets looks really cool. It admittedly looks very No Man's Sky, right? Like, you're scanning stuff, you're building up a little scan meter, and you try to get 100%. Oh, here's some rewards. You're mining some stuff and getting resources and jetpacking. It's very No Man's Sky, I will 100% admit, and that doesn't really worry me because it seems like they have a good idea. They have a good grasp on the fact that some of this can be procedurally generated, and some of the busy work can be over here, but then all the actual like handcrafted stuff is here. And it doesn't seem like you have to spend a whole ton of time doing the procedurally generated stuff to make progress in the handcrafted stuff. If you just want to like the Bethesda experience of doing the handcrafted stuff here, the vibe I got from it was that you can just go do that. You don't have to mess with resource gathering and building and all this crazy crap. You just focus on, like, if you just want like the Skyrim-ish kind of guidedness, then you can go do that. Combat in it looks good. I'm not gonna say great because the shooting looks better than it did in Fallout 4, and just better overall than most Bethesda shooters, except, well, okay. So when Fallout 4 came out, I remember people saying like the shooting in this is actually good. Like, they figured out how to, make first person shooting not feel like crap. And yeah, when I played it, I thought like, oh, this isn't bad. And then Doom came out and it just blew that shit out of the water. So now we know what like really good shooting. We're spoiled basically. And what I saw from this was that it looks good, better than Fallout 4, but not as good as Doom. Which is fine. It's not a Doom shooter. I know it's not. It's not a boomer shooter. But just in terms of like the handling and the floatiness and the sort of feedback, the feedback from the guns didn't feel great. At least for the bigger guns. The little pistols and like handheld submachine guns looked really, really good. But then like the really big guns felt, at least from the trailer, looked like it felt really weak. Especially the shotgun. The shotgun needs to be like, right? Like, it needs to kick back, but then that's just like, yeah, that part didn't impress me too much. But I don't play Bethesda games for the combat. I don't think most people do. But it looks like it sleeps better. Now, what does look interesting in terms of combat is the ship combat. It looks like there's a little more brains involved than just point at the thing and shoot at it. You can target different subsystems. You have to allocate different parts of of your power to different parts of your subsystems. It's very Star Trek, and I'm a big Star Trek guy, so it made me feel. It gave me those sort of vibes, and then on top of that, the ships are huge, so you're manning a crew. You know, like it's not just, oh, here's my little fighter. That's just me and me alone. Like in No Man's Sky, even with the freighters, they felt big and empty. And this looks like you'll have a proper ship that's properly manned and properly crewed, and you can choose your crew and you can outfit it. And there seems to be a lot of player freedom in this game, and I think that's what makes it so immersive. And then yeah, just the sheer scale of everything is insane. Just the amount of planets and cities and environments, and I can't even imagine how many quests there are. I'm sure many of them are going to be what the fuck did they call radiant quests? That's what they called them, radiant quests. You know, another settlement needs your help. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of those. But as long as the environments are fun to explore and be and just be in, then I can stand that because as I didn't really like Fallout 4 because just I don't know, the world of Fallout 4 was kind of boring. It was just didn't have a lot going on. It was a little too I don't think it was necessarily small, but it felt small. Um, and yeah, it just wasn't that fun to explore. This looks fun to explore. I love space games. This looks like my ideal space game. I like the more realistic look of it, that it's more like real NASA Discovery equivalent. I'm glad there's no weird butthead aliens or whatever. I'm glad it's just all humans, and it seems like the main story is a centralized around discovering something and figuring out the unknown. I like that a lot. So just the premise of it already has me sold. Um, the other thing I want to talk about is the ship customization. They showed someone building like a giant mech that like flew away, and as you guys know, that's obviously going to appeal to me. But the shield. I cannot believe they just implemented the gummy ship system from Kingdom Hearts 2. That's like basically what it is, and it looks awesome. I don't know what else to say. Like it's going to be so much fun. The only thing I hope, and I know that's probably not going to be available at launch, is there's probably going to be no way to share your ships online. So if somebody makes some wacky dick ship, you're not gonna be able to see it online. You're gonna have to make the dick ship yourself. I'm almost like positive that's not gonna be a feature where you can share creations online, which is a real shame. That is a really cool thing about No Man's Sky. It's the fact that you can. There is that multiplayer aspect. I'm that being said, I am fine with this game being a single player. I want it to be a single player game. It's just I would like some of those online features in terms of sharing stuff. What else to say? I don't think there's any more to say other than like we got 45 minutes of like mostly transparency on the things in the game, but the deep dive really did show off like just the mechanics and how they work and what's what and what you'll be doing in the game and how you'll be doing this stuff. And oh man, it's a lot. And if they can deliver on this game, like it, people are gonna be playing it for like years. I'll be playing it for the rest of my life, I swear. If it's as really as vast and huge as it is, I mean, because it's like a proper Bethesda RPG, you're gonna want to make a new character with a completely different play style and using completely different weapons. I mean, there's always like the opposite spectrums of like you can make a fully melee hand-to-hand combat guy, and then over here is like your sniper rifle, never actually engage in close combat guy, or like the guy who just talks his way out of everything. I mean, like that is the Bethesda like bread and butter right there. And to see that as fully realized as it is in this space game is just, oh man, I cannot wait. So Starfield alone made this presentation or this showcase. It was so good. It could have been bad, but it was good. I know people are talking about the frame rate. Dude, like, don't worry about it. Honestly, like, you'd be surprised how much more you enjoy your games when you turn off the frame rate counter. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't want to play a game at like 20 FPS, right? 30 is the bare minimum for me. But if you got to lock 30 and it runs just fine, it has like decent quality motion blur, it's gonna play and look good. I played through Dead Space, the remake, in 30 FPS throughout the whole thing. Played just fine. It was great. Don't get me wrong, I would like high frame rates and everything. And when I'm talking about 30 right now, they confirmed that Starfield is going to run at 30 4K on Xbox. and then probably unlocked on PC or whatever. You have all the PC customization stuff, but that really does not bother me because games are not judged off of numbers, right? Like we're getting to the 8-bit versus 16-bit era of arguments when it comes to frame rates recently. That being said, the fact that the game did have an unstable frame rate during the showcase did indicate that it was all real. So that's good. Um, that's all I got to say. Really, is to wrap it up again. Everything was great. I didn't. There wasn't any stinkers really, and maybe except for that Towerborn game that was just sort of like, I don't care. But there wasn't anything that made me go like, oh man, this looks bad. They should not have shown this. Um, Avowed maybe is the only one where I can see people were just really let down or like, eh. But for me, it looked fine. But just Starfield, right? Like, fuck it. Starfield stole the show. Uh, and yeah, if this could come out the way that they promise, it's going to be a huge win for Xbox, and I'm very excited for the future. So, well, that's all I got to say. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.